Movies are back, baby. They're officially back. Well, they've been back for a while, but they're sure as hell here to stay. People are finally getting a reason to move their lazy butts off the couch and into recliner seats. And The Fall Guy is one of those reasons. Maybe not. But at least in spirit it is. And at least for me it was. Yes, me, a reclusive, cinephilic curmudgeon. It ticks all the boxes for a great popcorn movie. Top of the line action and stunts, mixed with a hint of comedy, a flair of romance, and to wrap that all up in a cute little bow, you got the hottest acting duo in Hollywood, Barbenheimer's Emily Blunt and me, Ryan Gosling. If that don't sound like a fun time at the movies, I don't know what does. The Fall Guy marks former stuntman David Leitch's 6th directorial effort. The man who helped bring us John Wick has been busy over the past 10 years delivering us a feast of action films. After directing thrillers, sequels, and spin-offs, Leitch came out with Bullet Train in 2022. And if you've watched that and this, you can see it's sort of a spiritual sequel in a sense, aligning in genre, tone, and being a non-franchised action comedy. Witnessing Bullet Train's success, it seemed studios were eager to capitalize on Leitch's talent, pumping in more money in the hopes to make something bigger, better, and more financially successful. Now, was The Fall Guy bigger? Sure. More financially successful? Let's wait and see. Better? I personally don't think so. For all its merits, which I will talk about, I feel it doesn't quite reach the heights of its predecessor, and I'll tell you why. The action comedy genre is as old as cinema itself. Helming legends like Buster Keaton, Jackie Chan, Edgar Wright, every era has its stars. And now, with films like Bullet Train and The Fall Guy, David Leitch aims to join their ranks. Sure, he's still got a way to go, but his knack for imaginative set pieces, quirky hand-to-hand combat, and quippy dialogue makes his movies a blast to watch. And The Fall Guy is no different, following the story of Colt Seavers, a down-and-out stuntman who must find the missing star of his ex-girlfriend's blockbuster film. In hopes of redemption and romance, our unlikely hero goes through the ringer to make things right. Ryan Gosling is just charisma personified. He's slowly becoming everyone's favorite comedic actor, and for good reason. It's just a testament to this man's versatility. We want the nice guys too, now. This film is on his shoulders, and he doesn't disappoint. But he's not alone. His chemistry with Emily Blunt is kismet. It's so clear to see the fun that these two had riffing, improving, and just goofing around on set. That romantic flashback montage we see of them two while Colt bawls his eyes out to some Taylor Swift was adorable. And the fixation he develops on beating the shit out of Aaron Taylor Johnson's character was probably the funniest joke of the film.
And we beat the shit out of him. No.
Regardless, I would still say the strongest elements of this film are in its filmmaking. It utilizes several one-ers throughout, like the opening sequence, which are a nice touch. All the stunts are done practically and on location for the most part, which I love. Nothing worse than a janky blue screen environment to take you out of a movie. It's wall-to-wall with fights, flips, car antics, Sydney, and just a whole mess of other creative action set pieces. You can tell this is David's love letter to traditional stunt work. I mean, the IP is based off of a story about a stuntman in the 80s. There's no CG VFX trickery involved, and we even see Jodie belittle her VFX team who try and suggest they do everything with CGI. My one minor gripe about the stunts would be the way that they were edited. I don't know if it's the color grade or the way they used visual effects to clean it up, but it took some of the grit out of the stunts, made them lose the sense of danger that doing things practically invokes. The credits were surprisingly some of my favorite parts. It kinda shocked me to see all the stunts that were done practically, and done by some unbelievably talented stuntmen who for the first time get the credit that they deserve. Well done, lads. It's meta. Oh, it's so meta. It might as well be produced by the Zuck. A movie about making movies, following a stuntman, doing a bunch of stunts, while we get constant movie references fed to us by Winston Duke.
No matter how long it takes, no matter how far, I will find you! Plaza the Mohican! Ah, boy! Stunts!
Who's great. And if the visuals weren't badass enough, this movie dances to the tune of I Was Made for Loving You by Kiss. I must have listened to that song no less than 50 times after coming out that theater. It plays throughout the film, but that finale where the Fall Guy falls is an epic crescendo. Oh, to be that cool. The Fall Guy definitely had things going for it, but I think in the mission to make this the big action movie of the summer, it left a few things to be desired. Things that Leitch got right in Bullet Train. When you sign up to watch a movie for the next 2 hours or so, you submit yourself to the world of the film. Conventional logic leaves, and the movie's environment is established. And with both these films, whether it's a train full of assassins or a stunt Batman, we go with the flow. But once a narrative starts twisting its own logic, that's where you lose the audience. That's where The Fall Guy lost me. They've built this cartoonish world where obviously bad acting is good, a stuntman can go around playing detective, and a bizarre porno-esque mix of cowboys and aliens meets Dune is someone's dream project. Which is fine, if it's stuck to that. But the film also expects us to be invested in the genuine romantic turmoil between our leads, which, don't forget, is literally the whole reason Colt gets involved in any of this mess. He don't give a fuck about Ryder. The movie keeps dipping in and out of its own reality. I wouldn't mind if it fully embraced its silly, goofy nature. Like Tom Ryder stars in a movie called The Puncher. It was kind of funny. However, it features clearly capable producers, camera operators, stunt workers, other crew. So why would that parody movie even exist? Or be good for that matter? The inconsistency and lack of commitment to a single vibe is kinda distracting. Take Tropic Thunder for example. The reason why that gets away with its extreme parody of Hollywood, the fat hands Tom Cruise, the goddamn blackface, is because it's wall to wall with hilarious jokes and ridiculous situations in its equally ridiculous world. The Fall Guy can't seem to make its mind up. Is it parody or heightened reality? And if it doesn't know what it wants to be, then how should we? Bullet Train on the other hand is more self-contained, simple and consistent as a story and world. Hardly does anything go beyond the confines of the train and the characters. And that works to its benefit. You've got crime lords, assassins, vengeful husbands, daddy issues, and a guy who was just covering for a colleague. Our array of colorful killers all have a knack for immature hijinks and a predisposition for violence. The film also relies heavily on the concept of fate, that what is meant to happen will always happen. So once you accept all that, it becomes very easy to comprehend the film's world. The perfect encapsulation of this is the backstory of the water bottle. The idea that something as trivial as a bottle of Fiji water was destined for a crime lord's head. Leitch carefully laid the groundwork in Bullet Train to eliminate that pesky thought in our minds of, that would never happen. Because in this contained story, you know it could, and would. Then you've got the contrived plot of The Fall Guy. The elaborate plan to set up Colt Seavers and frame him for the murder is overly complicated. They go through the exhaustive effort to get him in the right place at the right time and to catch him coming out of the crime scene so that they can deepfake him onto a video of Ryder kicking the shit out of his stuntman. For what? Just delete the video. Even with witnesses, if you replace Colt's face, they'll still be questioned, so they're probably paid off anyway. So just dump the body and call it a night. Sure, people might notice the dead guy's missing, but without evidence, they won't pin it on Ryder. But plot for plot's sake, I guess. Then there's the third act, which basically could have just been cut entirely if not for the epic action finale it induces, which admittedly was awesome. Colt fakes his death only to come back immediately and devise a plan with Jody and co to trick Ryder into a confession. So why do the big theatrical heartfelt apology that felt like it should be at the end of the film? That's another issue I have with this movie. It does so many setups but doesn't have the time or effort to pay them off properly. Instead of a boring exposition dump about the plan, why not just show us said plan unfolding? We can figure it out for ourselves. We already know Ryder tends to forget he's mic'd up. The same goes for Gale being secretly bad the entire time. Again, exposition. Why not just show us her pulling the gun on the dude and getting the confession tape? And oh, the confession tape, the whole fiasco with the confession tape. Just riddle the hard drive with lead, Gale. I'm pandering. Sorry. Like I said, it was a fun popcorn movie, a turn off your brain movie. I'd like to believe that other people intrinsically notice these things too, and therefore share my feeling that it makes The Fall Guy fall a bit flat. It's sprawling and trips over itself, and if not for the charming leads and awesome action scenes, then this movie would honestly just be like Hobbs and Shaw, I guess. I don't know, I never watched it. Now may I please get back to talking about all the things Bullet Train does so much better. Thank you. I'm not going to sit here and act like Bullet Train has some ingenious, interwoven, intricate web of a plot resembling something out of Attack on Titan, but it has some great setups and pleasantly surprising payoffs. You might predict the plot at times, you might not, but at least things make sense and you're able to follow them with ease, which might I add is praiseworthy for a story with so many unique characters and flashbacks that interconnect with one another. Whether it's a Mon Montfori being a female Jesse Pinkman who's responsible for all the eye-bleeding poison murders.
You stole my snake, bitch. Hey, bitch. Weak ass bitch. The hornet stings, bitch! Oh, but you've seen my face, bitch. You bitch. What do you think, bitch?
Yeah, bitch! Magnets!
or the White Death curating this assembly of assassins, or even the backstory of the wolf playing out only for him to be killed moments later. They're all worthy payoffs that fit in the story comfortably without arising doubt in the audience. It helps that the Bullet Train does visual storytelling well. The audience ain't dumb. Me no likey exposition. One thing's for certain about David Leitch films, they're a feast for the eyes. Bullet Train has its own look, from the design of the train carriages, the sharp neon lighting, the swift camera movements to mimic the speed of the train. It's got a little cyberpunk thing going, which really works for me, especially since it's set in Tokyo. And choosing the setting to be a confined bullet train in Japan lends itself perfectly to the comedy action mood of this film. The use of everyday objects, the awkwardness of fighting in tight spaces, and the need for discretion in such an intimate public setting. You gotta give credit where it's due. All of that requires extensive choreographing and planning. Filming dynamic scenes in small spaces is an achievement in itself, especially when done in a way that the audience can easily follow. And it's very impressive how character personality is woven into their fighting styles. Leitch is bringing back that classic physical comedy in action movies. Not just jokes, but humor that's ingrained in the action set pieces. You know what I mean? God, who doesn't love a well-timed crotch shot? Bullet Train's cast is just stacked, and I gotta say, they're all great. Brad Pitt, Aaron Taylor-Johnson, Hiroyuki Sanada, Brian Tyree Henry, Joey King, Michael Shannon, Logan Lerman, Bad Bunny, Zazie Beetz. This film had $50 million less budget than The Fall Guy, and you would never have guessed it. Brad Pitt plays Ladybug, a skilled snatch and grab operative with a penchant for philosophical musings via his therapist Barry.
Barry would say a negative outlook leads to a negative outcome.
Wow, how much do you pay him again?
His character is our ticket into the criminal world of Bullet Train. We piggyback onto him as he personifies the theme of fate through his unlucky yet lucky actions. I might have to just give the edge to Gosling as a more enjoyable lead, but it's the Pitts. Forget it. It's not a competition. We're blessed to have both. Brian Tyree Henry and Aaron Taylor-Johnson play twins Lemon and Tangerine, the bumbling duo who are tasked to deliver the White Death's son and ransom money. And I'm sorry, Brian. I love you, man, but that accent is not it.
Oh, easy. We could deliver you back to your pops in a box.
You should have just done what Joey King did, who apparently spent 3 hours a day perfecting her British accent. Time well spent, madam. You kinda nailed it.
You found her.
The sheer amount of memes these two goofballs spawned when this movie came out was incredible. My favorite characters in this movie, hands down. The chemistry between Aaron and Brian is like peanut butter and jelly. Delicious. The back and forth aggressive arbitrary banter between Tangerine and Lemon is a riot. I could listen to these two chat shit for hours.
I don't know, why don't you tell him about the story about how Gordon met Percy and how Percy's now bleeding from his fucking eye sockets?
Leitch, please do a spin-off of the Bolivia job. I beg you. You can clearly see an amalgamation of influence in this film, and I don't think it hides it either. You've got the quirky dark humor from Snatch, the non-linear storytelling from Pulp Fiction, the stylized samurai violence from Kill Bill, even the confines of the train echo Snowpiercer. And listen, I love originality as much as the next guy, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with taking a little bit of inspiration. With art, that's the name of the game, baby. By way of mixture, you create an awesome new shade that has your unique fingerprint. They wasted Aaron Taylor-Johnson in The Fall Guy, man. He just shows up for a bit to be this atypical Hollywood dummy with an atrocious American accent. Why not just make him a British actor? Whatever. Acting skills aside. You better shut your goddamn mouth if you think this man doesn't at least have the look for James Bond. Look at him!
God, he's got a great walk.
Hiroyuki Sanada plays the Elder, a grandfather who's following destiny to exact vengeance for his murdered wife. It seems whenever Hollywood needs a badass Japanese dude for their movie, he's first on the list. And why wouldn't he be? He's fucking badass. He's cool as shit. More please. The Fall Guy had bangers, and this has bangers on bangers.
And I know bangers.
The Japanese versions of Staying Alive and I Need a Hero are now forever members of my playlist. Cameos are fun, aren't they? Who doesn't like seeing a Hollywood elite pop up and get paid our yearly salaries for 5 minutes of screen time? Can't complain too much. At least the ones in Bullet Train are funny. Speaking of hidden actors, Leitch and Brad Pitt have quite the history. In David's stunting days, he worked as Pitt's stunt double in multiple films, including Fight Club, Ocean's 11, Troy, and Mr. and Mrs. Smith. That's the reason Pitt made a cameo in Leitch's Deadpool 2. They're buddies. Now allow me to give my flowers to David Leitch for a moment, will you? His decades of experience in the industry have seen him contribute to hundreds of titles, and not for nothing, because you can tell he learned a thing or two about filmmaking. He's known to be very collaborative with his actors and crew, giving everyone a lot of freedom to work, parading the ideal that the best idea wins no matter where it comes from. This attitude is ever present in his work, especially Bullet Train. He invited actors to riff, improv, experiment, to really flesh out their characters. I watched some behind the scenes footage and the process looks like so much fun to be a part of. I'm sure you've seen the gag reel for Bullet Train.
Ebola?
I smell.
Don't smell it. Fucking dude, what the fuck?
You're very handsome.
That's it. I'm calling the conductor.
Suck a bag of dicks, lady.
Fuck you sideways, sir.
When everyone has that much fun making a film, it really shows in the final product. And that's all thanks to Leitch. No wonder everyone wants to work with him. Okay, you caught me. This video was just an excuse for me to fawn over Bullet Train. But come on, it's not a crime to add a little sprinkle of relevancy here and there. The intention behind the Fall Guy seemed to be just bigger, badder, stunts, more stunts. It's a movie about stunts. And in those categories, it delivered. But it may have over-delivered to an extent and forgot the basics. David Leitch is doing an incredible job reviving the action comedy genre once trailblazed by the likes of Jackie Chan and classic Hong Kong cinema. Since Jackie stepped back from the limelight due to age, you just don't see these movies anymore in Hollywood, and I really miss it. Leitch's films with their intricate fight choreography and comedic flair are a breath of fresh air. Watching his work brings back fond memories of movies like Rush Hour and Shanghai Noon. I really hope he makes more of these. Both these movies are great, and we need more. We need more well-made, cared about story and character-driven action movies that aren't MCU, DCU, legacy sequels, tasteless reboots, and fucking keep those goddamn Fast and Furious movies away from me. Just variety and originality and freshness. I could keep listing, but you smart peoples get my drift. Let me know in the comments what you thought of these movies, and be civil. It's just moving pictures on a screen. Let's have some manners, you twats. A smooch from me if you can like and subscribe. Thank you to everyone who helped me reach 1K. I will not let you down. Plenty more content coming your way. And as always, appreciate you watching.